Welcome to the Let's Talk Food podcast, where we have deep conversations about anything and everything surrounded with food. I'm your host, Chef April Fontenot. What is up, guys? Oh, I am so happy. So happy to be back, and I hope you feel the same. And if you're new to this show, welcome. You've tuned into the best podcast in the land. Not the wrong podcast, but the best podcast where we love on one another and support one another. And you've joined a community of like-minded folk from food lovers, art lovers, science lovers, health junkies, entrepreneurs, you name it, guys. The Let's Talk Food podcast is where it's at. Tonight, you have tuned into a very special episode. Tonight, drum roll, is the 100th episode. Can you guys believe that? I have done 100 episodes. I am just lost for words. I have been working my butt off when I tell you, day in and day out, put it in the sweat and blood and tears for this podcast. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. But tonight, I also have something very special as well lined up for the 100th episode. I have a very special guest tonight. He is one of a kind. Nicholas Kelly's approach to life. His story began at 3 months old when his mother diagnosed him with cystic fibrosis. Growing up, Nick strove for normalcy, valuing himself as a person meant to stand out. He thrived despite his disease, obtaining a bachelor's and master's degree from Bowling Green State University, and he's a dietitian. Woo! How exciting, right? And in addition, he is an author, decorated speaker, and advocate. And Nick's life focused on utilizing his abilities and knowledge to influence those around him while acting as a positive representation of the educational, artistic, and cystic fibrosis community. Let's welcome the one, the only Nicholas Kelly, guys.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, you are most welcome. Thank you for joining the show tonight. I am really excited to hear what you have to offer and bringing it tonight. And thank you for joining me tonight on this very special episode for the listeners tonight. So, where are you from and where do you currently reside?
I am Cleveland born and raised CLE, and that is where I currently reside, Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, guys. You heard it. Cleveland, Ohio. Now, don't mess with Mr. Nicholas, guys. That's where it's at, okay? Thank you so much for that great introduction there. Can you tell the listeners how you got started on your journey?
Yeah, so my nutrition journey specifically started in a very interesting way. So I originally went to college for computer technology. I wanted to build the biometric scanners the FBI uses. And the only downside is the year I got to Bowling Green, they got rid of the major and they encompassed it into computer science. I've coded in a bunch of different languages. I hated them all. So I was going to transfer schools, but the one school I was going to go to was on the West Coast. So I felt, okay, I don't want to do that at the start of a new year. I'll just wait. In the meantime, I'll take some of my prerequisites. Now, my twin sister at the time also went to Bowling Green, and she was a nursing major. So she was taking a nutrition class, and she was like, Nick, will you take the class with me? I said, absolutely not. I have no interest. She was like, okay, come back a couple days later. Nick, I just saw some of our friends are taking the class. Will you take it now? I said, you won't be alone. Absolutely not. You don't need me. So she came back another time and said, Nick, I'll make you a deal. You take the class and I'll do most of your out of class assignments and homework. All you got to do is your in class stuff. And I was like, that sounds like a good deal. Let me get my sister, our older sister, draw it up. And I was like, all right, agreed to it. I'll be in class the next day. So I went to class the next day and I remember sitting in class and the doctor's name was Dr. Jillian Wilford, Dr. Joe. And he wasn't a dietitian, but the way he talked about nutrition, it was like the greatest puzzle I'd ever heard. So I sat there, and by the end of class, I walked out. I called my mom, said, Mom, how do you feel if I was a dietitian? I changed my major the next day. The craziest part of it all, my sister hated the class so much, I ended up doing most of her work.
My gosh, guys. Isn't that funny? I think that's hilarious. And quick question, are you the baby of the bunch?
So I'm a
Oh,
minute,
oh,
so I'm a
okay,
minute
gotcha.
older than my twin, and then we have an older sister.
Gotcha. Oh, that is so cool. A twin sister. Wow. Wow, that is the most hilarious story, but it turned out to be something great. Especially since you gained your master's and sister talked you into it and you had an inspiring doctor that help you make that decision. But I think that's so cool how she's kept, hey, take this class and do this and do that. And he's like, nope, I'm not with it. And sometimes it's funny that and I think I've talked about this on another episode. We always have these different plans in mind for our lives, and it always turns out to be something else. We end up doing something totally different. So I think that's really cool. And I love how you got started. I mean, that's amazing. So now you were diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at 3 months old. How did food become part of your survival story before you even understood what illness meant?
So nutrition has always been a big part of CF, as one of the things that is incorporated with CF is you're unable to absorb nutrients. So you need pancreatic
Hmm.
enzymes to take in nutrients. You also have different difficulty absorbing fat. So your, especially your
Okay.
ADAX or your AD, E, and K vitamins. So nutrition is a huge part of that going. And even as I was growing up, my lungs were not one of the bigger issues. It was actually my GI system, my stomach, that was one of my big issues growing
Huh.
up.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up because it's so many people that's struggling with that. My husband actually struggles with like gastrointestinal issues and he just doesn't want to go figure out what's happening. And I got really excited when I discovered, oh, we're going to do this episode because a lot of folks, especially myself, I had no idea what cystic fibrosis is. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to teach us something tonight. That's a really interesting factor. So, speaking of that, when you discovered that it was on the GI side, what steps are you taking to improve that?
So I'm really mindful of the things that I eat. Like I said, my pancreatic enzymes are a huge part of my regimen. Understanding I have to take
Okay.
those every time I eat. So we're talking about 5 to 6 enzymes every time you eat,
Oh.
not to mention 3 to 4 with snacks. So there's a lot of burden, a lot of medication burden that comes along with eating. And
Hmm.
you also have to be very mindful of what you eat. You know, everyone's a little different with CF, what the gut does and what food does to their gut. And it's just a balancing act. And for me, it's just always been understand what I eat. I had a lot of food allergies growing up. So I was
Yeah.
always super mindful of what I ate. It actually what helped learn how to cook too from scratch because I had to look at so many ingredients that said can't have this, can't have this. So I had to learn how to make a lot of stuff from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. Same here. Like I'm always throwing this and that in the pan, and I like to keep a lot of odds and ends, different things in the pantry, and I'll come up with some good stuff. I think that's really interesting that not only did you discover, hey, I can create different dishes and meals to help with my GI issues, but not only that, just learn how to cook. But that is really great. Now, you've lived on both sides of the hospital bed. How does that dual lens shape the way you talk about nutrition today?
It's been huge. I tell people most clinicians will never know what it's like to be sick, and most patients will never understand
Mhm.
what it's like to be a clinician. And so, because I can talk to both sides, it allows me to really bring a unique perspective, a fresh perspective, and also a very realistic approach to nutrition and to my advice.
Right, right. Yeah, and I like that analogy that you use, like, either side, it's like you won't know how that the nutritionist or the patient or what, but yeah, like I said, this is just some really great information. I love how you're breaking it down for the listeners. I know anyone that's listening tonight, guys, if you're not familiar with cystic fibrosis or experiencing GI issues or need some nutritional facts, well, that's what Mr. Kelly is here for tonight, guys. Not only that, because you're a dietitian, we need someone with that background. When I tell you guys, I've had so many different guests with different walks of life and different backgrounds, and I don't think I've had a dietitian on the show yet. So this is great. All right. So, was there a moment growing up when food felt more like a threat than nourishment?
Absolutely. When I was 13 is when I found my initial 13 allergies. And
Whoa.
I got up to 17. And for that first year, I avoided all 13 of my food allergies and I became malnourished. I lost 10, a little over to about 15 pounds. I was malnourished
Oh.
in 3 different vitamins and minerals. So I really struggled. It really took a toll on my health.
Mm.
And so to the point we had to pivot, we had to say, okay, most allergies people avoid are 2 to maybe 3 and above out of a 5. I had to get up to
Mhm.
4.5 and I still was avoiding 5 different foods. And so it was just really a big difference for me. And but still eating stuff I was allergic to caused me GI distress, caused me pain. So I really had to
Yeah.
navigate through it and I ended up starting to eat a lot of the same stuff. I became very routine and very repetitive with my eating.
Yeah, I bet. And it's really interesting that you're speaking of the food allergies. I did a recent episode with Lone Mason and his daughter. Yeah, food allergies, they're very traumatic. It's very scary. I also have food allergies. Now, I'm not quite sure. I still haven't determined, and I haven't seen a doctor exactly what it is, but certain fish or certain seafood I'm allergic to. So just to imagine that you have 13. Guys, did you hear that? 13 different allergies. And you're saying that this still happening today, or was it just all through your childhood?
So ironically and interesting enough, when I got COVID, so back in 2020,
Yeah.
after my first bout of COVID, which I was in the hospital for 67 days. So
Sorry.
after that first bout of COVID, so we went to go test me for inflammatory markers, and we were going to test it against my allergies because that's something we knew I had. And when I got
Mhm.
tested against my allergies, all my food allergies were gone with the exception of two. And I had a slew of all new environmental allergies.
Whoa.
Yep.
No, look at God. I mean, COVID shifted everything. Isn't that something? I
That
mean, that's amazing. Yeah, God works in mysterious ways. I'm so sorry to hear about you being hospitalized, but it's so great that you pull through. But yeah, like I said, just to hear about the allergies. Like I said, I don't know exactly what I'm allergic to, but I have to be very careful as well. So I could definitely imagine how you felt and what you were going through before you discovered and after you discovered that you had quite a bit of allergies there. So yeah, that could be very painful and traumatic there. If someone listening feels scared, overwhelmed, or defeated by food, what would you say to them?
Food is meant to be enjoyed. Food is not the enemy. And so it's important to find joy in food wherever that might come from, because that's the start of it. Food is meant to be enjoyed. So finding joy in food and then building off that, creating a positive relationship with food is really important. And the only way to do that is to try different things, to enjoy different things, and make yourself open to different things.
Right. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I agree with you. I think that food is enjoyable. Food is everything. And especially if you are experiencing any type of food allergies or GI or any of the issues we stated before, don't be afraid, guys. Like Nicholas, do not be afraid to explore. There's always a substitute out there if that's something that you are allergic to. And if you're not for sure, definitely do some research. Get with people. They have apps out there. There's all types of literature and information that you can discover to find ways to go around it. But right, do not be afraid. Don't stop living your life. Basically, what he's saying because of your food allergies or anything you have going, illnesses. Enjoy life, guys. Life is too short. We have got to live life to the fullest. So, yeah, I really like that. Now, how do you help people shift from fear based eating to empowered eating?
I think the starts with being mindful. I think being
Okay.
mindful is the key. So starting to expose them to different types of food or starting to talk through food and understand where their mentality is. Because sometimes it's the fear base is the lack of knowledge. Sometimes it's the fear
Right.
of what they're afraid because of what's happened in the past. So trying to break those
Okay.
barriers down and figuring out how can we break down those barriers. For example, if someone has had previously bad experiences with flour, and they automatically think, okay, I got celiac. Well, that may not be true. Maybe it's the type of food you're eating. Maybe it's the simple. Maybe you need whole wheat instead because you need more fiber. So that's something
Right.
that might be needed. So it's just kind of dispelling some of those things like, hey, maybe it's not just you don't like dairy food, maybe it's a texture thing. So you have to find things
Okay.
that are fit your texture. So maybe it may not be cottage cheese, may not be the thing for you, or yogurt may not be the thing for you, but you might get a shake.
Right.
You might get a shake because it has a less creamy consistency or less chunky consistency. So sometimes it's those things that we may not naturally inherently think about that are really what's causing us the fear or what has given us a bad taste in your mouth, pun intended.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Right. Shift your way of thinking, guys. Like I said before, we got to stop living in fear. I also lived in fear for quite some time because of my food allergy. And it's a funny thing because I'll give you an example like catfish and tilapia, right? I, I don't know, my husband, he made some catfish and he used in simple things like this. He took some just regular fresh lemons And I've been fearful of eating catfish as I found out I was allergic all these years. All he did was took some lemons, fresh lemons, squeezed lemon juice, and of course we used vinegar. And I was like, you know what? For some reason, I just got this courage. This courage just came over me, guys. And I said, you know what? I'm going to eat that catfish tonight. It looks so good. And anyhow, I ate it and I said, well, if you have any Benadryl or anything handy, well, let's find it. But I forgot, guys. I forgot that I had eaten the catfish. And so I'm just walking around and I'll give you an example, guys, of what happens. So anytime I eat something that I am allergic to, like my throat swells up really bad, my lips swell up like a fish, basically. And, hours had passed by and I was like, you know what? I'm not having an allergic reaction. And that's the day when it started where I stopped living in fear, guys. So don't be fearful. Like Nicholas stated, there's other ways. It might be the texture if it's not regular. So whatever it is on the fish or anything that I'm allergic to in the seafood department, I guess it's just something I don't want to say bacteria. I don't know what it is, but the lemon juice, the vinegar washed it away. So things like that, you can just basically just experiment, guys, is where I'm going. Experiment, do what you got to do, but of course, still have your stuff handy if you break out or whatever. But anyhow, I'll get to rambling, guys.
And another thing, with that, don't be afraid to see an allergenist. They do
Okay.
the testing because one of the things that's really important, if you have sometimes people get allergies mixed with intolerances. And so sometimes
Okay.
they have an intolerance and it's not a true allergy. An allergy has to
Huh.
create a histamine reaction. Whereas an
Okay.
intolerance might be people who are lactose intolerant. Everyone's lactose intolerant, but people who have
Yeah.
GI symptoms from being lactose intolerant, they're not allergic to milk. They just are intolerant of the milk sugar. And so that's
Gotcha.
where a difference is between allergic and intolerant. So sometimes that might be a thing. So, seeing an allergenist, because the last thing I want somebody to do is be highly allergic to shellfish and try eat shellfish and put themselves in a position where throat could close, they go into anaphylaxis. So just
Right.
being mindful of what your allergies are, and if you are allergic or if you start having like physical symptoms like lip swelling, throat closing,
Mhm.
being mindful of those and saying, okay, let me go get tested because I've never had this reaction, and seeing, okay, what is that? And trying to be mindful. What was it I ate? Some people latex foods, they're allergic to latex, but there's also
Uh-huh.
latex foods. So those are just
Okay.
different things that people may not naturally think about when we start talking about allergies.
Yeah, most definitely. I just haven't got around to it. And since I was living in fear, like you stated, I just said, well, I'm just not going to eat this or that. And that was my way, workaround, rather, to avoid it. But, right, I definitely am, interested to find out what exactly it is because I want to know, as I learned before that there can be similar foods that may have this, you may have the same reaction. So when I found that out, I was like, oh my God, this is really scary. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Guys, visit an allergenist if you are, experiencing the same thing. Don't be like me. I just took the plunge and I was like, I'm going to eat it anyway. But, right. Some of you may have more severe reactions or traumatic reactions than I do when I'm allergic or eating those type foods. So yeah, great, great stuff. Thank you for that great information and that helpful advice. Now, what's one thing you wish every clinician understood about the emotional side of nutrition?
I think it goes back to that food is meant to be enjoyed. I think
Okay.
people so often forget that food is not just nutrient. It is a pleasurable experience for so many people. It's part of their culture. It's part of their who they are. It's a staple in their home. It brings the family together. So we have to be mindful of those elements and we have to be respectful of those different things and really try to figure out where the desire for healthy meets the need for happy. And I think
Okay.
bridging those gap is going to be super important for the two. So as a clinician, I think it's really important that we just give realistic and mindful information and don't do it inside of fear. We do it inside of a place that's helpful, aside of a place that's compassionate and understanding.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, especially, when you're visiting the doctor, you're already shaking, visit your clinician or your doctor, would have you, and they give you all these sad stories. No one wants to hear that. So you're absolutely right. I agree with you. Make it more fun and enjoyable. And not only that, make it educational. Hey, you have XYZ, but hey, I'm here to help. That's what folks want to hear, especially me when I visit a doctor. I always base it on their bedside manners and if they're willing to help. A lot of folks, they're just out here for the money and not really here to help. So I totally agree with that. Now, you are known for translating clinical nutrition into something people can use tomorrow morning. So, what's one tool someone can start using immediately, you would say?
One of the tools that I say people can start using immediately is to think of food a little different. There is
Okay.
no such thing as bad food. Food is also not the enemy. Carbs are not the enemy. There are no such thing as cheat days. You can't cheat on food. What you can do is try to have healthy options and less healthy options. And what you want to do is compile more healthy options than less healthy options and allow those to be the small steps that help you reach your health and wellness goals.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I like I said, I just love this guy. Nicholas is just a beam of light, guys. If we're not educated and I won't say educated, but not sure where to go or where to turn, I'm really grateful for folks like Nicholas to educate us, guys. But yeah, yeah, that is some really, really great advice and some really great stuff there. Now, you've spoken directly to the FDA on behalf of your patients. What message did you feel most compelled to deliver?
The thing that I'm most compelled to deliver is always brands, but one of the things that I talk about is as advocacy is the importance of passion.
Okay.
And I think finding passion as in utilizing purpose, increase productivity, but more importantly, passion is the single most important, the single greatest attribute a person can have. Passion is what defines us. Passion is what helps shape us. And when we find passion, it's what allows us to guide us.
Yeah, say that again. You got to be passionate about everything in life, especially when it comes to your illness. Like I said before, when you're discovering, say if it's your first time and you just learned recently, yeah, you definitely want to have a passion for doing research, a passion for getting the help and have that community, guys. And yeah, like I said, that's what Nicholas is here for tonight. He is definitely just one of a kind, guys. Like he sounds like he's very passionate at what he does and definitely is here to help. But thank you so much for that. Now, what gives you hope right now for people living with cystic fibrosis?
What gives me hope for people living with cystic fibrosis is the progress that's been made with drug therapies, specifically modulator therapy, which
Okay.
affects the gene, which affects CF at a gene level. And
Okay.
the understanding there's a modulator called Trikafta out there. It's a triple combo, and then they turned into Afkaffer as well. But that has done so many great things for so many people. It's been
Hmm.
a miracle drug for some people, taking it from a lung function of 20 to 50, like just
Wow.
dramatic leaps. And for me personally, being able to watch the people I love, being able to watch the people I care about, not having to struggle, not having to die, and being able
Yeah.
to be in a position where they're doing things they didn't get to be able to do. And that's for the whole CF community. People are planning families, people are thinking about old
Okay.
age, retirement, things that they never thought about before. So although I'm not a candidate for the modulator therapies because I have two rare mutations, the hope
Okay.
is that it gives me that I can see what the progress is being made, and I know they're working to strive towards more progress, which ultimately will hopefully just lead to a cure.
Yeah, that's amazing. And when new technology comes out and gives people a second chance and hope for sure. So I know you were pretty excited when you heard about it because of what you have going on with you said it was rare mutations. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, I have two rare
Yeah,
mutations.
you wanna be careful. Okay, gotcha. No, I can definitely understand where you're coming from, but yeah, guys, I'm just excited. I'm not very educated on cystic fibrosis, but I am definitely going to do my research and do a little bit more and learn about this and maybe even advocate for you guys. I'm always down for advocating for folks that need it the most. So this is really great. This has been so much fun. Now, when people hear your name years from now, what do you hope they associate it with?
Passion. I hope my legacy is if they take nothing away from me, no, Nick lived with passion. And I think
Yes.
that's the thing that I want people to most understand about me and my legacy is that Nick lived with passion. Nick thrived to be better every day and challenged himself to be better than he was the day
Oh
before.
my gosh. Did you hear that, guys? I mean, Nicholas, come on now. Come on now. This is just great. I mean, all around passion. He is very passionate about guys, and that's a great way to live your legacy and pass it along. So I love that. I love that. I love it. I love it. And I know the listeners feel the same. But this has been so great tonight, guys. And I've had so much fun. Like I said, I got really giddy, really excited when I saw his information, and I was so intrigued and want to learn more. But woo, I've had so much fun. Now, I always like to ask all of my listeners before we end the show, what is one of your favorite meals to prepare or you enjoy?
My favorite meal is tacos. And ironically enough,
Okay.
as Taco Tuesday, I actually have some on the stove right now. I literally just finished cooking before the call. I got some meat thawing out because we're gonna make it
Okay.
a family thing. So I got some more meat thawing out right now. I'm gonna cook that up
Yeah.
and we're gonna enjoy each other's company. Like I said, food brings us together. So tacos are definitely that meal for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love tacos. I made some the other day, but I don't know. And I don't know about you. Do you make your tacos like all different types of ways and stack them, high and low? I mean, I get creative with mine. I don't know about you, but I love tacos
I'm
as
not
well.
gonna lie
So
to you. I'm basic when it comes to that. Meat, lettuce, cheese in that order, hard shell. That's my taco.
gotcha.
Meat,
Okay.
lettuce, cheese
Gotcha.
in
Gotcha.
that order, hard
Gotcha.
shell.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's a great meal for sure. And it's very easy to make as well. So I love it. I love it. But yeah, guys, tacos is, I mean, I think my guest I had the other day, she's African cuisine. I mean, I've heard it all and I am just loving it and I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are doing the same. Where can the listeners connect with you as well?
So they can find me at my website, which is Nicholas Kelly RD. So that's Kelly. R is a registered, D is a dietitian. They can find me on all
Okay.
my social media platforms, which is Nicholas Kelly RD, or they can email
Okay.
me at nicholaskelly.rd@gmail.com. So if you didn't see a pattern, the way to get ahead of the link is Nicholas Kelly RD.
Exactly. I mean, now if you missed that, guys, you're just not listening, okay? Yeah, and guys, don't worry. Like I said, if you're new to this show, I always list everything, all the pertinent information rather in the show notes. And by the way, guys, the Let's Talk Food podcast is on every platform you can think of out there. And just to name a few, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Heart Radio, Amazon Music, Podbean, you name it, guys. I mean, and the list goes on. So yeah, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, you will hear this beautiful episode. And also, don't forget to connect with Mr. Nicholas RD there on all of his platforms. And if you'd like to send him an email, learn more how he can help you guys. And that's the reason why I had him on the show because a lot of folk like myself were not educated on, what cystic fibrosis is. And also, not only that, but ways to navigate and eat healthy while you're experiencing that. And if you have a family member, friend, coworker, whomever you feel that can benefit from this episode tonight, guys, please, please share this episode and pass it along. And also pass the podcast along as well. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, whatever you need to do out there. I would really, truly appreciate it. But this has been so much fun, guys. And before we go, if you are interested in becoming your own podcast host, well, guess what, guys? Podbean is offering 30 days free. That's right, 30-day free trial. The promo code is PodbeanCom PB That's for unlimited hosting and unlimited business hosting. So take advantage of that, guys, as well. But yeah, I've had so much fun tonight. I hope you guys feel the same. Kiss those babies out there, love of one another, lend a helping hand. Have a great rest of your week, whatever you have to do to stay above water and stay healthy and happy. You guys do that, okay? But Nicholas, I've enjoyed every bit of this episode tonight. Thank you so much for embracing us with your presence. Thank you for all the beautiful information that you've blessed us with. And I really, really had a great time tonight.
I had a pleasure. I so want to thank all the listeners. Thank you for having me. It's been a great, great honor and a pleasure to be here.
But yes, most definitely. I know they feel the same. All right, guys. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Like I said, don't do anything I won't do and be great out there. Well, I'm your host, Chef April Fontenot. You've been listening to the Let's Talk Food podcast. Peace, light, and love. Have a good one. Bye.